Sometimes, the greatest act of self-love is to stop begging for what you deserve and walk away without looking back. Think about this. How many times have you sacrificed your peace of mind to fit into a place that doesn't value you, or to maintain a relationship that drains you? The weight of being trapped in situations that don't belong to you can be devastating. You become a prisoner of your own fear, afraid to let go because of the emptiness it might leave behind. But here's the truth. No one tells you. Clinging to what harms you is the surest way to lose yourself. The problem isn't just staying where you don't belong. It's the silent cost you pay every single day. Your dreams are postponed, your energy fades, and your identity becomes diluted. You become a shadow of what you could be, all to avoid facing the discomfort of letting go. But life doesn't wait, and every moment you spend holding on to what no longer serves you is a moment lost to build the life you truly desire. Stoicism teaches us that walking away isn't selfish, it's clarity. It's understanding that you can't fill a broken cup or save what is already lost. It's having the courage to prioritize your well-being and move toward what truly matters. In this reflection, we'll explore how letting go, saying no, and setting clear boundaries are acts of true power, tools that will not only transform your life, but also the way you relate to others. Stay until the end, because here you'll not only learn to let go, but also become the person who deserves respect, peace, and purpose. Today is the day to take control of your life and decide that you will no longer be a slave to what consumes you. Before we begin, I want you to commit to taking the first step toward your freedom. Leave a comment saying, "From today, I allow myself to walk away from what consumes me." This phrase will serve as your reminder that it's time to let go of everything that holds you back, everything that prevents you from moving forward. Today, you decide to prioritize yourself, leave behind what drains you, and take control of your inner peace. This is the moment to walk away from what limits you and step into a life of virtue. Let's begin. Lesson 1. The mirage of acceptance. Acceptance from others is a mirage, a false oasis that promises relief, but only deepens your thirst. From a young age, we are taught to seek it, because the world equates being accepted with being loved. But here's the truth. The more you rely on others' approval, the further you drift from yourself. Why do we sacrifice our authenticity for scraps of validation? The answer lies in fear of rejection, loneliness, and inadequacy. This fear enslaves us, pushing us to mold ourselves to fit others' expectations. Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "Only the person who lives according to their nature, not according to the opinions of others, is truly free." When you place your worth in the hands of others, you lose your freedom, and with it, your connection to your essence. Think of a river. When it flows with strength and clarity, it advances without pause, carving its own path. But when it tries to divide itself to irrigate 1,000 fields, it fragments, weakens, and eventually loses its course. This is your energy when you try to please everyone. It scatters, dilutes. In your effort to be everything to others, you become nothing to yourself. True acceptance doesn't come from outside, but from within. It is an act of courage. It requires looking at your reflection with all your imperfections and scars and saying, "This is me," and that's okay. This act, though simple, is one of the most powerful you can perform, because when you stop seeking outside what you can only find within, something shifts. The invisible chains that bind you break, and you begin to walk freely, guided not by others' desires, but by your own values. It's not about ignoring others, but prioritizing yourself. You can't fulfill everyone's expectations, but you can honor your essence. Every time you feel the urge to please, remember this: The acceptance that truly matters is the one you give yourself. That's where your power, freedom, and authenticity lie. In a world full of distractions, this space is a refuge for those who value the power of reflection and personal growth. If you're ready to reclaim control over your life and inspire others, give this a like and subscribe. Every action helps bring this profound Stoic wisdom to more people. Without further ado, let's continue. Lesson 2. Recognizing challenges in relationships. Every relationship in our life is a reflection of who we are and what we tolerate. Yet not every bond we forge nourishes us. Some, like poorly forged iron, rust over time and end up contaminating everything they touch. Stoic wisdom teaches us to recognize when a relationship stops being a bridge and becomes a burden. Why do we maintain ties with those who hurt us? Perhaps it's the hope of changing that person or the fear of being alone. But such thinking anchors us in a position of weakness. Seneca said, "A wise man does not grieve for what he does not have, but rejoices in what he possesses." However, this doesn't mean accepting mistreatment. It means discerning who truly deserves a place in your life. Some relationships demand more than they give. People who become burdens, draining your energy, resources, and mental peace. These connections, whether familial or friendly, often arise from dynamics of dependency or manipulation. The wise Stoic is unafraid to examine these ties honestly and ask, does this relationship lift me up or drag me down? The challenge lies in recognizing these dynamics before they destroy you. Imagine every relationship as a plant. Some flourish with mutual care, while others wither because one party gives while the other only takes. The key lies in balance, in seeking relationships where both sides grow. This doesn't mean cutting ties abruptly or out of resentment. It means observing calmly, reflecting deeply, and making decisions with resolve. Sometimes walking away from those who harm us is the greatest act of self-love, and also love toward them. By freeing ourselves, we give them the opportunity to learn and confront their own voids. In every human interaction, remember that your time and energy are finite treasures. Deciding who you share them with defines your path and your peace. Don't fear setting boundaries. Boundaries are not walls that exclude, but doors that guide those who truly value who you are. A healthy relationship doesn't demand your essence. It respects and celebrates it. Lesson 3. The power of walking away. Walking away is not an act of weakness. It is a manifesto of strength. In a world that constantly demands endurance, compliance, and conformity, stepping back can seem like a betrayal of duty. Yet in Stoic philosophy, walking away is not fleeing. It is choosing to preserve your integrity and reclaim your autonomy. Think about this. When you remain in a situation or relationship that goes against your values, you allow others to dictate the course of your life. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your interpretation of it. And you have the power to revoke this interpretation at any moment. Walking away is that act of revocation. It is the moment you decide that your peace is more valuable than anyone's approval. Walking away can be a painful choice, but it is a pain that builds. It is not about ignoring problems or abandoning responsibilities. It is a conscious act of protecting what is essential to you. It tells the world, my life will not be shaped by what destroys me. Many fear the void left by what they leave behind. Relationships, jobs, toxic friendships. The silence that follows can feel deafening, but in that silence, you find the space to rediscover yourself. The Stoics understood that the greatest enemy is not external but within, the fear of not being enough, of not being loved, of not being valuable without others' approval. Walking away requires courage. It means accepting that you cannot control how others react, but you can control your response to them. It is a profound act of self-respect, recognizing that you deserve better, even if you do not yet know what better looks like. When you decide to walk away, do so with dignity and serenity, not with anger or resentment, for those emotions only perpetuate others' control over you. Walking away is not an end, but a beginning. It is the opening of a door that may not yet reveal its destination, but will always lead closer to your true self than any place you stayed out of fear or habit. Remember, as Seneca said, a great and noble soul does not descend to what harms it, but rises above it. Walking away not only frees you from what hurts, but elevates you toward a more authentic and purposeful life. Lesson 4. Knowing how to say goodbye. Saying goodbye is not just closing a door, it is opening a path to your own freedom. In life, we cling to people, places, and situations that once brought us value, but over time become burdens. While the act of saying goodbye is often accompanied by pain and doubt, it is one of the most powerful decisions you can make to honor your well-being and your future. The Stoics understood that everything in life is transient, from our relationships to our achievements. Epictetus said, "Hold on to nothing that is not within your power to maintain." This principle teaches us to let go of what no longer serves us, what no longer aligns with our values or our path. Clinging to what should have ended only prolongs suffering. But why is saying goodbye so difficult? Often it is due to fear of loneliness, of change, or even of judgment from others. We convince ourselves that enduring is easier than facing the uncertainty of the new. However, by staying in what no longer works, you sacrifice your authenticity and inner peace. Saying goodbye does not always mean an abrupt break. It can be a quiet act, an internal decision to release the emotional weight a situation or person holds over you. It is recognizing that your time and energy are limited and deserve to be invested in something that enriches and inspires you. Stoicism does not teach us to avoid pain, but to face it with wisdom. Saying goodbye hurts, but that pain is temporary and purifying. It is a reminder that you are letting go of what has fulfilled its purpose in your life. And most importantly, it is an act of faith that something better awaits you. When you say goodbye, do so with gratitude. Be thankful for the lessons learned, even if they were difficult. Be thankful for the time shared, even if it ended. And above all, be thankful for the opportunity to start anew, with the certainty that every farewell is an open door to new possibilities. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "The nature of the universe is change, and our life is what our thoughts make of it." Saying goodbye is embracing that change with courage, knowing that every step away from what does not nourish you is a step closer to the life you deserve. Lesson 5. The different types of relationships in life. Every person who enters your life plays a role, whether as a teacher, a companion, or a test of your inner strength. Human relationships are like rivers. Some flow smoothly, enriching the ground they pass through, while others are turbulent, eroding everything they touch. Recognizing the different types of relationships in your life is essential for protecting your energy and maintaining your inner balance. Epictetus said, "Surround yourself with those who uplift you, not those who drag you down." Not all human connections deserve the same space in your life. Some friends, colleagues, or even family members inspire you, challenge you to grow, and walk with you toward shared goals. These relationships are like pure water, refreshing your spirit and nourishing your aspirations. However, there are relationships that do not build, but drain. They are marked by selfishness, manipulation, or constant negativity. Aristotle described these as relationships of utility, where personal benefit is the only foundation. These connections should not hold a central place in your life, as they prevent you from being authentic and living in peace. The Stoics teach us to cultivate the virtue of discernment. Not all relationships deserve the same investment of time and energy. Setting clear boundaries to protect your well-being is essential. Saying no to those who violate your values or underestimate your dignity is not an act of selfishness, but one of self-respect. On the other hand, there are relationships that challenge you, but not in a toxic way. These people push you to think differently, step out of your comfort zone, and grow as an individual. Although they may not always be easy, their presence in your life is a catalyst for personal and emotional development. To live fully, you need to surround yourself with people aligned with your values and with whom you can build a genuine connection. However, you must also be aware of reciprocity. What you expect from others, make sure you offer as well. Be a loyal friend, an integral companion, and a positive influence in others' lives. Marcus Aurelius reminds us in his Meditations, the quality of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. And these thoughts are often influenced by the people with whom you choose to share your time. Surround yourself with those who uplift you, and learn to let go with gratitude of those who do not. This way, every relationship in your life becomes a conscious choice that brings you closer to your best self. Lesson 6. The power of choosing your relationships. Imagine that the people in your life are the bricks with which you build your home. Some are solid and reliable, while others are cracked and fragile. If you build with the wrong bricks, your house will never be a refuge. It will collapse at the slightest storm. This metaphor illustrates the impact of relationships on our lives. Consciously choosing who is part of your circle is one of the most important and underestimated decisions you can make. The Stoics understood that our relationships influence our virtue and character. Epictetus said, "Avoid those who do not make you better." This statement, though harsh, is profoundly wise. It's not about excluding those who face difficulties or need help, but about avoiding negative and destructive influences that become a burden, steering you away from your purpose. Throughout our lives, we encounter different types of people. Some inspire, others teach, and a few, unfortunately, drain our energy. It's not always easy to recognize who belongs to each category, but the first step is to observe how you feel after interacting with someone. Do you feel motivated and strengthened, or drained and confused? The Stoics also teach us the importance of self-evaluation. If someone in your life seems to always be in conflict with you, ask yourself, what lesson can I learn from this relationship? Sometimes difficult people are mirrors reflecting our own weaknesses and areas for growth. However, when these relationships cross the boundary of respect and become a constant source of suffering, the most virtuous act can be to let go. Letting go is not a sign of weakness, but of strength. Marcus Aurelius sums it up beautifully. Eliminate distractions, stay true to yourself, and remember that all you have to do is the right thing. If a relationship has become a distraction, pulling you away from your essence, you must have the courage to prioritize your peace and move forward. But remember, you are also a brick in someone else's home. Be someone who adds value, integrity, and support. Just as you seek relationships that uplift you, ensure you are a positive presence in the lives of those you choose to keep close. Choosing your relationships is ultimately an act of self-respect. By surrounding yourself with people who reflect your values, you give yourself the opportunity to build a more authentic and meaningful life. Not all relationships are meant to last, but each serves a purpose. Recognizing when it's time to stay or let go is true wisdom. If you've made it this far, it's because you're ready to free yourself from what consumes you. Subscribe and comment. From today, I let go of what limits me to reaffirm your commitment to a life of peace and authenticity. This is just the first step toward a fuller existence where you are the priority. By the final lesson, you will discover an essential change that could transform how you relate to everything around you. Don't miss it. It could be the key to your freedom. Let's continue. Lesson 7. The art of setting boundaries. Imagine a river flowing strongly. Without well-defined channels, its waters overflow, flooding and destroying everything in their path. This is how our lives feel without clear boundaries. We lose control, direction, and often the respect of those around us. Setting boundaries is not an act of selfishness, but one of self-care and Stoic wisdom. The Stoics understood that our energy and time are finite resources. Epictetus reminds us, we must learn to reject what is not within our control. Saying no is not about closing doors, but consciously choosing where to direct your efforts. It's about understanding that you cannot do everything for everyone, and you don't need to justify prioritizing your well-being. Why is it so difficult to set boundaries? Often we fear disappointing others or being perceived as selfish. But what happens when we always say yes? We lose our direction, feel drained, and eventually resentful. This resentment doesn't stem from others crossing our boundaries, but from our own failure to define and communicate them. Boundaries are not just about saying no, they also involve saying yes to what truly matters, your values, goals, and inner peace. Marcus Aurelius put it clearly, focus on what truly matters and let the rest fade away. By setting boundaries, you tell the world and yourself what is most important in your life. How do you start building strong boundaries? First, identify your values and objectives. What is so important to you that it deserves your time and energy? Then, learn to communicate those boundaries clearly and assertively. This doesn't mean you need to be rigid or inflexible. Boundaries can evolve over time and circumstances. Setting boundaries is not just an act toward others. It's a commitment to yourself. It's a recognition that you deserve respect, not because you demand it, but because you first practice it with yourself. It's a reminder that your time and energy are sacred, and that protecting them is not optional but necessary. Remember, every time you set a boundary, you define who you are and where you're headed. Don't fear that others will distance themselves upon knowing your limits. Those who value your essence will respect them, and those who don't simply don't deserve to be in your life. In the end, boundaries don't confine, they liberate. Lesson 8. The commitment to authenticity. Authenticity is not a luxury, it's a vital necessity. In a world that constantly invites us to play roles that are not our own, being authentic is an act of courage. It means walking firmly, knowing that your life will not be defined by others' expectations, but by your values and principles. The Stoics believed that true freedom lies in being true to oneself. Epictetus expressed it this way: don't worry about being something you're not. Worry about being who you truly are. However, authenticity requires a deep commitment and ongoing work of self-knowledge. Why is it so difficult to be authentic? Because being yourself involves accepting your imperfections, weaknesses, and doubts. In a society that glorifies perfection, showing our vulnerabilities can feel like a threat. But it is precisely in those moments of honesty where we find our true strength. Authenticity is not about being perfect, but about being real. Living authentically does not mean you will always be understood. Often, being authentic involves facing misunderstanding or even rejection. But as Marcus Aurelius said, accept misunderstanding as part of the price for living in harmony with your nature. When you commit to your authenticity, you allow the right people to enter your life while those who don't resonate with your essence drift away. How can you cultivate authenticity? The first step is to know yourself. Spend time reflecting on who you are, what you value, and what you want in life. Ask yourself, am I living according to my principles or according to what others expect of me? Then act accordingly. This doesn't mean being stubborn or insensitive, but having the courage to live aligned with your values, even when it's uncomfortable. Being authentic also means accepting that you cannot be everything to everyone, and that's okay. Your mission is not to meet others' expectations, but to live a life that resonates with your truth. In doing so, you inspire others to do the same, creating a virtuous circle of honesty and genuine connection. Remember, authenticity is not a destination you suddenly reach. It's a constant journey, a daily act of choosing yourself over external approval. Along the way, you'll discover that living from your essence is not only liberating but also deeply transformative. Lesson 9. Stay true to your principles. Staying true to your principles is not just a virtue, it is the foundation of a purposeful life. In a world full of distractions and fleeting commitments, staying faithful to your values is an act of resistance and self-worth. It is the compass that guides you when the storms of external judgment threaten to derail you. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius said, "Avoid distractions, keep your focus on what truly matters, and remember that you don't need others' approval to follow the right path." This teaching emphasizes that living according to your principles won't always be popular, but it will always be meaningful. Being true to your principles doesn't mean being rigid or inflexible. Instead, it involves having an internal clarity that allows you to discern what is worth your effort and what is not. But this clarity doesn't happen by accident. It requires reflection, self-knowledge, and constant practice. Ask yourself, what convictions define my life? Am I acting in alignment with them? However, this loyalty to oneself is not without challenges. There will be moments when the world pushes you to compromise your values, whether for convenience, fear, or social pressure. Perhaps you'll face rejection from those who don't understand your path. But remember, the price of betraying yourself is much higher than the cost of facing misunderstanding. The true value of staying true to your principles lies in the inner peace it brings. When your actions align with your beliefs, the noise of doubt and guilt disappears. This allows you to walk confidently, knowing that each decision reflects who you truly are. As Seneca said, "A tranquil soul comes from living according to your convictions, not according to others' applause." Being faithful to your principles also has an impact beyond yourself. You inspire those around you to find their own path. When others see your authenticity and consistency, they feel motivated to reflect on their own lives and decisions. Thus, your loyalty to your values not only transforms your life, but also has the power to illuminate others. At the end of the day, staying true to your principles is an act of self-love. It is a reminder to yourself that you deserve to live a life that reflects your deepest values and aspirations. While the path is not always easy, the reward is a life filled with meaning and authenticity. If you find this knowledge useful, subscribe and join this space where we learn to free ourselves from what limits us, to live with clarity and without ties. Lesson 10. Distance yourself from toxic people. In life's journey, the kind of company you choose largely determines the quality of your experience. Distancing yourself from toxic people is not an act of selfishness. It is a declaration of self-love and respect for your well-being. As Seneca said, "Avoid those who darken your spirit and delight in poisoning your peace." It's easy to identify these people, those who constantly belittle your dreams, sow doubt, or consume you with their negativity. No matter how much you try to help them or change the dynamic, their influence becomes a burden that slows you down, diverts you from your path, and drains your energy. The first step in distancing yourself is recognizing the impact they have on your life. Ask yourself, does this relationship enrich me or exhaust me? Do I feel inspired or drained after interacting with this person? These questions, though uncomfortable, are crucial for discerning whether someone brings light into your life or casts shadows over your days. Distancing yourself from toxic people doesn't mean condemning or judging them without compassion. The Stoics taught that each individual is fighting their own internal battle, but they also emphasized the importance of protecting your own peace. You cannot save someone if you're drowning with them. The act of stepping away requires courage. You might face fears of rejection, loneliness, or guilt. But remember, choosing your well-being is not an act of weakness, it is one of strength. It's understanding that you deserve to surround yourself with people who value your energy, respect your boundaries, and celebrate your growth. When you move away from toxicity, you create space for healthier connections. You discover that life is full of enriching relationships, where mutual support and respect are at the core. This newfound space allows you to flourish, regain your energy, and focus on what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept only what is in harmony with your soul, and distance yourself from what disturbs it." By doing so, you not only free yourself from an unnecessary burden, but also send a clear message to the world. You value your time, energy, and life. Distancing yourself from toxic people is not an act of escape. It is a step toward freedom. It is choosing to be the architect of your environment and to protect what is most precious to you, your serenity and purpose. Surrounding yourself with those who uplift your spirit is a way of honoring your own existence and building a life of greater clarity and meaning. Lesson 11. The Abundance Mindset. The abundance mindset is not about how many resources you possess, but about how you perceive and utilize what you already have. It is a philosophy of life that shifts the perspective from lack to gratitude and from competition to collaboration. In the words of Epictetus, wealth is not found in having great possessions, but in having few needs. Often we live trapped in a scarcity mindset, worried about what we lack and fearful of losing what we already have. This focus leads us to live in constant anxiety, unable to enjoy the present because we are always chasing tomorrow. The abundance mindset, however, invites us to recognize the fullness that already exists in our lives and to operate from a place of confidence, not fear. Imagine you are negotiating something important in your life, whether it's a job, a relationship, or a personal project. If you approach the table with a scarcity mindset, you will be willing to accept unfavorable conditions out of fear that there won't be another opportunity. However, with an abundance mindset, you realize that there are always more options, more paths, and more possibilities. This confidence gives you the strength to walk away from what doesn't align with your values, knowing that something better will come. Abundance isn't limited to material wealth. It is also reflected in how we handle our relationships and emotions. By adopting this mindset, we stop clinging to people, situations, or things that don't benefit us. We understand that letting go doesn't mean losing, but rather making space for something new and valuable. At the heart of Stoicism is the idea that true power lies in our minds. When we cultivate an abundance mindset, we take control of our narrative. We are not victims of circumstances. We are creators of opportunities. And from this place of confidence, our decisions reflect clarity, purpose, and strength. Seneca expressed it clearly: "The richest man is not he who has the most, but he who needs the least." By freeing ourselves from the tyranny of more, we discover that we already have enough to be happy, and that true wealth lies in our ability to appreciate and make the most of every moment. Thus, The abundance mindset not only redefines how we see the world, but also how we see ourselves. It reminds us that, at the end of the day, our greatest wealth is not in what we possess, but in who we are and how we choose to live. With this mindset, the path to inner peace and purpose becomes clearer and more accessible. The power of walking away is not just a decision. It is a profound test of who we are and how much we value our well-being. It leads us to question, what does it truly mean to let go? Is it surrendering, or is it an act of faith in our ability to find something better, something more aligned with our essence? Sometimes the act of walking away may seem like a defeat, but what if it's a silent victory? A recognition that self-love and inner peace are priceless. In that space where we leave behind what no longer serves us, do we not also find the fertile ground for something new, more authentic? Think for a moment. What burdens are you carrying that no longer belong to you? What relationships, thoughts, or expectations weigh more than they give? Walking away isn't easy, but perhaps it is the bravest path toward a life where what matters is not what we leave behind, but what we choose to build in its place. Are you willing to explore that power? I'm excited to hear your stories of overcoming this topic. Share your victories, challenges, and experiences in the comments. If you're unsure what to say, write, "Today, I choose to walk away from everything that holds me back and limits me. My peace and freedom are my priorities." To show that you've finished our session, and don't forget to subscribe if this content resonates with you and your values for living with Stoic wisdom. Your voice is essential here. Every reflection strengthens and elevates our community, reflecting the true value of each individual and contributing to our shared Stoic identity. Joining this Stoic community is about breaking the chains that limit you and building an inner fortress that no one can tear down. Is there a topic you'd like to delve deeper into? Leave it in the comments. We'll see you in our next meeting in Stoicism for Winners, where we'll continue exploring the wealth of Stoic wisdom applied to modern life. Now, seize the opportunity to expand your understanding of Stoicism with new recommended sessions. Until we meet again, remember, you are the sole owner of your perception, the creator of your peace, and the warrior of your own battle. This is the legacy of Stoicism, the art of being invincible